ये सुन्दराकारं सदैकप्रियदर्शनम् अज्ञाननाशकं देवं सद्गुरुं मुरलीधरं मुरलीमण्डितकरकमलं मुनिजनमोहनं व्यत्यस्तपादं वनमालाधारिणं प्रेमभक्तमण्डलनित्यकीर्तितं श्रीप्रेमिकवरदम् आश्रयेऽहम् गोपिका जीवस्मरणं गोविन्दा गोविन्दा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. By the benevolent grace of our beloved Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Maharanyam Shri Shri Muralidhara Swamiji, and the divine couple Shri Madhuri Sakhi Sameta Shri Premika Varadan, I'll be speaking on a very beautiful topic called mind. It's one of my favorite topics. So if you see in this world, every living entity, no matter whether it's human or non-human, they all are seeking happiness. Right? Happiness is the key that drives every single living entity. The happiness that's derived, it's either on a physical plane or on a mental plane. Even if you see the physical plane, right? The reason why I have to talk about this is, if you see, in the world, all you see is through your senses, right? You hear sounds. Through your eyes, you see things. So even though we perceive for happiness with our physical senses, but if you see deeply, the real enjoyment or the experience is gone through the mind. The mind is the one that really relishes. It's not the body. Just let's take one example. Eyes, right? Even though you see a beautiful object, your eyes doesn't flicker, or it tries to enjoy. Eyes just sees it. The real experience comes within. What is that enjoys the sight? The mind. So that's the very reason, since we are all pursuing for happiness, first we need to understand what is really experiencing the happiness. It is the mind. So, having that said, I would like to get into the topic. In today's topic, we'll discuss what is the nature of the mind. What is mind and what is the nature of the mind? And what happens if the mind is not controlled? What are the enemies of mind? How does the mind act and react? What can influence the mind? And what's the mind workout we can do for the betterment of the mind? And what are the mind control tools? Those are the one we will discuss today. First, the nature of the mind. Now, the point is, let's see what is mind, right? So, if you see our own body, we have physical senses, right? It's called gross senses. And there is something that is subtle. When you say subtle, that which cannot be seen. Mind comes under the subtle senses. It belongs to us, but you cannot see it. Right? So, let's try to understand. So you see, let me first ask the kids. So what are the different kinds of senses you have in your body? Yes. Don't look at this. Eyes. Good. Through eyes, what do? Quickly. You just raise your hand with your eyes. Go ahead. Yeah, I don't want people to just raise, answer, okay? What is the other sense?
You can talk.
Nose. What do you do with the nose? Smell. What is the other sense? Tongue. What do you do with the tongue? Good. What is the other one? Ears. What do you do with that? Good. The reason why we are talking about these senses is because in your body you have these senses. Like I said in the beginning, through your senses, all you do is do an activity, but the perceiving part of each sense or the experience part is done by the mind. Let's take, say, gulab jamun. Who likes gulab jamun here? Good. So, if you see a gulab jamun, the moment you see it, your tongue, the saliva starts coming out of your tongue, right? It's because of the experience that your mind already had, right? So immediately your mind says, wow, this is tasty, right? So it's an experience, but it's because of the memories that sits on the mind. So that's why if you see, the mind is storehouse of thoughts, unfulfilled desires, right? That's what drives us to constantly pursue for our goals, right? There could be realistic goals, there could be non-realistic goals, right? We may just hanker and hanker, we may not even achieve it. And then previous experiences, the gulab jamun example, the saliva, why did it come out? It's because of the previous experience you had tasting gulab jamun, right? We should all understand this. We should all understand, why am I feeling the taste? It's because of the previous experience in the mind. So the gross and subtle, we discussed mind is a subtle sense which we cannot see, and we also discussed mind is nothing but repository of thoughts. It's filled with thoughts. But there is again subtle difference in the word repository of thoughts and samskara. See, when you see something, that's fine, right? You go for window shopping, you just see things, that's fine. But you see gulab jamun, that is okay. But the moment you take it and taste it, you experience. That experience deeply get into your mind and get stored as impression, samskara. See, that's the difference between just the thought and the samskara, the mind impressions. The more deeper you experience with your sense, that's what gets registered as, tell it, samskara. Okay, just remember this. So, it is very important what we put into our mind, right? We shouldn't just think, okay, let me just give a try, right? But you should be careful before you pursue on a specific activity. You should understand, if it's going to give you some bad samskaras, that's going to become your habit. So that's why you have to be very watchful, at least from our side, right? Whatever efforts we can do from our side, we have to be a bit watchful. That's why we are trying to understand the dynamics of the mind, so that at least in future, we'll be very watchful on what we do. We discuss about mind impressions. Next is bahirmukha. The nature of the mind is, it always sees outside. That is a big problem, right? There is something called Atman, soul, Bhakti. These are all internalizing. You have to go inside to see that. But the nature of our mind is always bahirmukham. It sees outside. It always goes around, sees outside, and it takes the input from senses. So if you see, how does the mind get those experience and those thoughts registered? Just imagine yourself. I want each and every kid and even adults to imagine you're just seeing the world. Whatever you see, your mind is slowly, capturing a lot of thoughts. And with whatever experience you have, with whatever knowledge you have, it starts capturing in its own way, right? The reason why I'm saying that is, if a kid sees Bhagavad Gita, it may see it as a book. If a great devotee sees that, they know it is Krishna's words. So imagine the same book is perceived by two different persons in two different ways. What is making that perceive? The jnana. Knowledge is what is making that perceive. So we have to be very careful. If you don't have much knowledge, obviously we are going to perceive things in a different manner. Okay? So the other one is, see, Ur Sutrum Mulam Vidadu Unai Kandu Adangida. This is a quote of Ramana. So, Ramana says, the nature of the mind is Ur Sutrum. It just keeps going out on and on. It can never go inside. It doesn't know how to go inside. It always goes outside. Look for the happiness outside. That is the very reason, if you are so bodily attached, just understand our mind is what is making to do that. Because we are so attached to